at that point, it was absolute madness. So yesterday's loss against Green Bay was absolutely catastrophic. I could do. I'm sure you all feel the same way. I could stare at this camera like this, and I got nothing. I got nothing, man. But like I said, I was gonna turn that game off. I after it was 17. When again, it was a tease. It was a tease yesterday. The first half was a tease. You go into the halftime at 17-7. Totally different team once we scored that first touchdown. Totally different team. Kittle. Juwan Jennings running the ball a lot well. Offensive line blocking up front. Okay, the good things, right? Those are the good things. Let's talk about the second half when what went on in that locker room in that first half. What was it? I mean, Erin Andrews, according to her or the other reporter there, said how Coach Shanahan had said, obviously we got to stop with the penalties. That's another thing. How many penalties yesterday? 10? Dominic Pooney, great all year, had 3 penalties yesterday. Jake Brendel. Center Jake Brendel. Listen, I gotta be fair. I was very pro Jake Brendel when he was a free agent. What the fuck has happened? If you saw that post I had put up that I got from I think it was Football Forever or somebody else's page, he's ranked 38th out of 38 when it comes to centers. You know. It doesn't get any worse than that. It doesn't get any worse than that. You come into yesterday's game, you got no Trent Williams, no Nick Bosa, no Brock Purdy. You already have no Dre Greenlaw, no Shavarius Ward, who unfortunately lost his daughter a couple of weeks ago. So, much love and respect to him and his family. You got these guys missing. D. Winters started yesterday, although I guess didn't really matter because in that second half we couldn't stop Frosty the Snowman. Too many picks at the D-line and too many busts. The issue was the scheme and the main issue was Shanahan, Cali 49ers. Okay. But again, let me get on that. Let me get on the good with Shanahan. The 12-man penalties back-to-back, 2 back-to-back penalties having too many men on the field, and then when you saw the press conference with Coach Shanahan, he said that, and it made sense, he said that Green Bay had hurried up to the line of scrimmage to kind of throw them off balance and get them the penalty because they hadn't substituted out yet. Okay, that's one time. One time you say, okay, good on you, Green Bay, good on you. Defense, move your fucking ass. Get your scheme in and go. All of a sudden, they did the same thing the next time, and they had brought in, I believe it was another tight end or something like that confused San Francisco. I got to give credit to Green Bay. They totally were playing head games with us and doing damage. And that, to me, made me worry because never has that happened to us. We've made penalties before on great teams, but not like that. So we were at an all-time. And again, I'm trying to figure out who's that on. Is that on Sorensen? Is that on Shanahan? I think it's on everybody. Like, get your fucking packages correct. Get your packages correct. You know what I mean? Or call a fucking timeout. Use the timeout and set things straight. But don't get 2 back-to-back penalties on 12 men on the fucking field. I mean, how many times is that penalty called in football per game every week? Like, what is the percentage? To get it twice? I have a problem with Shanahan, but if we release him, he's too good of a coach. He gets picked up to coach somewhere else. Coda Bear, 16. I totally agree. Listen, I love Shanny. I do, but I'm objective. Going into that game yesterday, he had to really have his scheme down crazy tight. And it wasn't so. So I'm objective about him. I can say the bad, I can say the good, but I can tell you I'm a fan. Like I said, the bad is you let Brandon Allen go in there with a broken index finger. Joshua Dobbs should have been a starter. You don't utilize Isaac Ariendo. You don't use Jordan Mason. Kyle Juszczyk, what is he used for at this point? Why are we underusing him? We should be maxing him out left and right. Here's another thing. Why is there no emphasis on getting Deebo Samuel the fucking ball? You remember when it was a time when it was the Deebo Samuel offense? I remember when it was the Deebo. So I could put money on the fact Deebo's going to get the ball out of the backfield. Here comes Deebo on a sweep. Ball's going to Deebo. What has happened? I know he dropped 2 passes yesterday, but this whole season, and Deebo's the first to say it, he said it in the podcast, it has been the most frustrating season. Why is he not getting the ball? Why are we not doing everything we can to get him the ball? 8 years of failure, what makes him a good coach? No, he hasn't had 8 years of failure, bro. He hasn't. I get what you're saying in terms of, yeah, he hasn't won the big one. He's been to the Super Bowl, let's face it, 3 times. Once as an offensive coordinator with the Falcons, twice with the 49ers, and we've lost. 100%, I will say that. In order to be the best, you got to win the chip. You're 100% right. But Shanahan has... the good obviously outweighs the bad for sure. Let's face it, man. Come on, okay? He's a very good offensive mind, utilizing different running backs. Bringing along Brock Purdy, and I also think that he wasn't a player, but the players believe in him. I'm sure the players have his back for sure, but I will say this. There are times, like I'm mentioning, where I just don't understand it. Yesterday, why did you open up why were you opening up with passes? I don't understand that shit. Why are you opening up with passes? Forget that. Run the goddamn ball. Pound the ball. Pound the ball, man. And that defense is not great. We would have, if we could have had, I don't know, again, shoulda, woulda, coulda. A couple more drives the way we had when we scored. Based off the run, we would have been huge. And you would have had Gary Endo, and you would have had Jordan Mason, and there's Juszczyk. Look, why? Again, objective about Shanahan. Why are you not using the fullback out of the backfield in a West Coast offense? Bill Walsh designed that fucking offense. And who did Bill Walsh have when he was a head coach? He had the greatest fullback who ever played the fucking game. Tom Woody Ratman, who was an absolute wrecking ball, whether running the ball out of the backfield, blocking for Roger Craig, or as a receiver out of the backfield. I don't know how many of you guys remember this for people who weren't around back then. Ratman was the total fucking package. You utilize all your guys, especially your fullback. He's key. There were so many plays yesterday. I'm like, where the fuck is Juszczyk? I don't get this. I have to disagree. He can't develop skill players that he's supposed to. I mean, look, I disagreed with Shanahan when it came to Brandon Ayuk, putting him in the doghouse a couple years ago. But maybe it worked because Ayuk ended up having a monster season that year. We saw Shanahan bring along Deebo Samuel, use him the way he utilized him. So I got to give him that. But this season, he hasn't utilized the running back game correctly. And again, this season, the one knock I will have at him constantly every year is, why isn't Kyle Juszczyk used more out of the backfield than as a runner? And no fucking reporter at those press conferences ever mentions it. They mentioned the same dumb shit. What game are you fucks watching? I don't get it. Go back and watch Kyle Juszczyk in Baltimore, man. Go look at his stats. He was all-purpose. That's what you pay him for. That's why he's the best fullback in football. In fact, I said this last week. The fullback position on a whole is coming back, thank God, for the game, because there was a period where they weren't even using it anymore. When you said fullback, people were like, what the fuck is a fullback? This is after all those those years of having great fullbacks in the backfield. Heath Sherman on the Eagles, Moore Norris was more of a blocker. Richie Anderson, all these guys, even Mark Edwards, man, at past 49er, William Barn on Floyd. This is after that. This is kind of like in the middle to late 2000s, where the position had just kind of evaporated, and now it's coming back into the fold. Go watch any game. A lot of the times, great running teams have a fullback. You know, you said offensive play calling. How when he puts the offense behind by taking out your best run back to a guy with two better. Because I agree. No, listen, Callie, I agree with you there. I agree. The guy makes mistakes sometimes. He does, 100%. I don't always get the. I don't always get the personnel on the field. Like, I was waiting for Mason yesterday. I was waiting for Gary Endo. You know, I was waiting for Jusek, and I just didn't see it. And I was waiting to see the ball go back to Deebo. Nothing. And again, no disrespect to Juwan Jennings having the best season of his career. Juwan Jennings is a legit wide receiver. Juwan Jennings could be a legit number 2 on another team. He's a legit wide receiver, man. He's good. He's good. Deebo was a gimmick receiver that has lost a step, that is useless now because with the running back at the age of decline 20. I got to disagree a little bit there because we've seen this year at times, I believe it was against Arizona, where Deebo was used downfield and still had that step on him, made some catches. I don't feel we're doing enough to get him the ball. I think we've kind of small balled him a little bit. Here's another thing. And I'm sure, Callie, you'll agree. Where's Ricky Pearsall? What the fuck? 2 weeks ago, that's all you heard against Tampa Bay. What happened? And I'm not just talking about yesterday. I'm also talking about last week's debacle against Seattle. Pearsall was not used whatsoever. I know, I could understand why you're not using Ronnie Bell. I get it. I don't know. You know, another first round. I don't think Pearsall's a bust. I can't say that. You know, it wouldn't be fair to say that because of the tragic shooting that happened to him, his time away from the ball. But, and this has nothing to do with Ricky Pearsall personally at all. How many of you would agree? Again, hindsight is 20/20, and we're not even going to use hindsight right now because there's still time to go in the season, and these guys are young. I thought at the spot we were drafting at that Xavier Worthy would have been the player to get. I know Kansas City traded up to get him, but I thought that was the guy we should have grabbed because of his ability to do what you see him used as a running back out of a wide receiver, and as a speed back. It would have made a difference because we don't have a legit speed guy back there. Yes, I knew you'd agree with me, Callie. Worthy has speed, exactly. That would make a huge difference. Danny Gray wasn't the guy, right? That was a waste of time. You know, Chris Conley obviously isn't the same anymore. You know, he was a speedster one time, but I thought Xavier Worthy would have been the guy to grab. I remember being pissed that Kansas City had jumped up to get him and we didn't do enough to get him. I'd like to know what the psychology was behind for not drafting Worthy. Cowan, quarterback, 16. Thank you. Another guy. Why do you have him if you don't draft him? Like, we've seen him on special teams. We've seen his ability to break, to have speed. I know he's fumbled a little bit. He made some rookie mistakes, but you gotta play these guys. You drafted them for a reason. You gotta play these guys, especially with no Ayuk. Look, you say what you want. Last week against Seattle, right? We look at the stats. How many yards after the catch did any of those guys have that we had? None. Zero. Zilch. Ayuk was our deep ball wide receiver. That's where he was best. That's where it was best. We're missing him 100%. 100%. As not as great as he was playing early on. You're missing him. You got to let these fucking guys play, man. You got to play. There's a thing with coaches in sports, right? Phil Jackson never played his rookies, hardly. Phil Jackson wasn't big on that, right? How many other coaches don't play their rookies? Pat Riley never played his rookies in basketball when he was coach of the Lakers, coach of the Knicks, and when he coached the Heat for a little bit. A lot of guys just don't believe in it. They don't believe in it. And I don't understand why. Like, I just don't get it. In Kansas City, Xavier Worthy's may not be getting the type of, is maybe not getting 50 snaps a game, but he's used in those packages. I think he scored yesterday. I checked the stats there. I know D-Hop scored, but he was used two ways as a running back and a wide receiver. He would have been perfect in our offense because that's what we do. That's what we used to do with Deebo. And even if, let's just say for argument's sake, I don't know, if you don't want to use Deebo no more out of the backfield, why aren't we using him downfield more? I just don't get it. I mean, again, to be fair, he did drop 2 passes yesterday. One of them sort of was behind him, but the other, he could have caught both of them. That's just my thing. And, I get it. The guy didn't want to do a post-game, had nothing to say to the press afterwards. I get it. Why? There's nothing to say. You lost 38-10. I would have said, go watch the film. Go watch the film. Go watch the film. Go watch the film. Josh Jacobs didn't run over us. He fucking inhaled us, and shit us out. There was no answer for him. So let's get on that. Why I can't put all the blame on Shanahan? Defense. Coming into the season, how many of you felt good with this defensive line? Right? How many of you felt secure with this defensive line? In my opinion, the best defensive line we've had in the last couple of years was the defensive line in the first Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. I never wanted to get rid of DeForest Buckner. He's still playing at a high level. Javon Kinlaw was not the answer. DJ Jones I liked. I didn't mind him. He was more of a, he wasn't really a pass rush. He was a bit of a run stuff. I liked him. But in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs the first time, that was the best defensive line we've had. Armstead, Buckner, Bosa, Solomon Thomas wasn't good at all either. Now last year you look at those names, Armstead, and then you look at Chase Young, Hargrave and Bosa were the two studs there. But those other guys allowed Bosa and Hargrave to reign some terror. We don't have that this year. Malik Collins is at best a run stuffer. Jordan Elliott, a run stuffer. You got 2 run stuffers in the middle. Look, and I'm going to be honest, as I always try and be objective. Leonard Floyd is he's good to get after the quarterback with. That's about it. He's not a run stuffer. He's good if you have. I don't know him starting at defensive end all the time. Like, I would have expected them to kind of put him at defensive end and then, bring in another package, use him on the outside. But I guess you can't do that because you're already at a loss in the linebackers. You're not playing a 3-4. You don't go back to a 3-4. You basically stay in a 4-3. And even if you were in a 4-3 and you were going to use Leonard Floyd on the edge, then you're taking away from the rest of the linebackers in the defensive backfield to cover wide receivers, which you already have a hard time with because Devondre Campbell, that's not his specialty. So Fred Warner's got to do it all himself. So I understand it. And again, listen, Leonard Floyd has done what Leonard Floyd does. He gets quarterback sacks, and that's huge. But he's not a two-way guy. He's mostly a one-way guy. Did they overpay him? Was it a rush judgment? It shoulda, woulda, coulda at this point. At that point, you kind of say to yourself, yeah, but what else was out there at the time? What else were they supposed to do? Well, I could tell you what they were supposed to do. Trade deadline, you should have traded for fucking someone and got yourself another defensive tackle. They were having a goddamn fire sale in Tennessee. Everybody was leaving there, right? I don't know why they didn't go after Jeffrey Simmons. Maybe they did. Maybe what they offered wasn't good enough. I don't know. But they should have done something. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I love Lynch. But you could have got yourself another defensive tackle. I know you got Collier Davis from Houston, but it's not enough. It's not enough. We're at a loss, especially with no Givens. We're at a loss, especially when Mater Gross was hurt. We're at a fucking loss. And I don't know why they don't see that. I really don't get it. Take a breath, man. It kills to go in there yesterday and get destroyed like that. It just sucks. It just kills. And again, Brandon Allen didn't have a bad game. I was like, oh, okay. Brandon Allen holding his own a little bit. Not all his fault. When you got, 9 or 10 penalties, false start. I mean, look, Pooney going to have one of those games. Okay, fine. I can live with that. You're a rookie. For the most part, you've had a great season all year long. You've played beyond your rookie ability, especially at guard. Jalen Moore held his own yesterday. I ain't got a problem with him. Excuse me, we've all been critical of him, but he held his own for the most part yesterday. But the fucking penalties. And look, let's talk about. We all know the special teams has been terrible all year long. We all know the special teams has been dog shit. It's been dog shit. It's been dog shit. And look, sometimes in life you can win while having a minus at certain aspects of the game. You can win. It's been done before, It hurt to see Deebo have that big return. Yes, Coda Bear. That's what I'm talking about. That, again, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Imagine he gets that big return, goes to the house at 17-14. We're fucking surging, bro. Surging. They get the ball back. That defense is hyped for the most part. They're going to do what they did at the end of the first half and shut that shit down. And then we get the ball back and maybe we drive down the field and get 3 points and tie it or get 6. But the fucking, and look, to be fair, that was not a holding on Saubert at all. That was a bullshit penalty. They were showing it all day, man. That wasn't a penalty on Saubert. That wouldn't look like a holding. As Tom Brady said it good, he's in the front. A lot of the time when you're in the front, you've got that, you've got your hands under his pads and you're in the front. You get away with that, or, the way it looks from depending on where you're standing, the angle, it doesn't really look like a holding because of where the hands are. If he was on an angle and he's grabbing then that was a bullshit penalty. That totally fucked up Deebo's return. So, but look, to be fair, that's why Deebo's right. No wonder it's been a fucking frustrating year because you can't get out of your own fucking way. And it's not Deebo's fault. It's not Ayuk's fault. Injuries happen. It's not Juszczyk's fault. It's not Jennings' fault. It sure shit ain't the best tight end in football's fault. Kittle. It's not Aaron Banks' fault. It ain't Trent Williams' fault. It's not McCaffrey, Mason Purdy, Brandon Allen, none of their fault. But someone's got to answer for this shit, man. It seems to me that we get hit. Sometimes you take a bullet. Any big play, there's a penalty, and it comes back 100% quarterback. When that happens, it fucks us. Everything else is fucked. Especially yesterday when you don't have two of your studs on offense. And you figure, okay, now the ball comes back, so now's the time to start utilizing all these guys. But it didn't happen. I would have loved to have been on the fly on the wall in that locker room. Not last night, because that's just fresh, and it's a lot of anger and frustration. But this morning, or whenever it is they got into San Francisco today. Because I know they're flying up to Buffalo. I don't even want to think about that game. Because right now, at the beginning of the season, I was looking at that game, licking my chops. In fact, I had a bet going with my nephew to tell his friend who's a Buffalo Bills fan, get ready to kiss the ring. No. You're gonna go to two cold weather places. We don't even know if we have Purdy yet back. You're going to go to two cold weather places and you're going to beat Buffalo and Green Bay? Or Green Bay, you're going to beat Buffalo after Green Bay? Nah. Not happening. Fuck. Fuck. Not the season we expected, folks. Not the season we expected. How many of you watched that absolute fucking moronic turd Colin Cow shit? I forgot whose show he was on. That guy who's the ex-Philadelphia Eagles scout. He has a podcast talk about how the 49ers look like an old boxer and they should just blow up the franchise and redo it. Shut the fuck up, bro. Shut the fuck up. I think Allen's going to shred us, man. Going to shred us. Going to kill us. Especially if there's no Shavarius Ward. You know, I mean, you're going to put Isaac Yedem on Khalil Shakur? Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? When it comes to cornerbacks, I will say this. Diamador Lenore is a legit beast. He's a legit beast. Malik Mustafa, I like him. Jahir Brown, I like him too. I like all three of them. I don't feel comfortable with Yidam, however you pronounce his name back then. I sure shit don't feel comfortable with Rocky Sin either. Yeah, he said, oh, there you go. Thank you for that, Coda Bear. I forgot about rookie Keon Coleman. And you know what the funny thing is? Josh Allen's having his best year without monster receivers. He got no Gabe Davis. He got no Stephon Diggs. He's having his best season. You think we're going to walk in there and beat them? What's the defensive scheme? Someone said it yesterday. I think it was Brady again. He mentioned something about changing to a 3-4. You know, that was sitting on my mind. I'm like, yeah, we don't fall back into a 3-4 at all. You don't see that at all. And then you figure, well, if you're in a 3-4, what would your package be out there? Would it be, obviously Jordan Elliott in the middle, maybe Malik Collins on the end because they're 300-pound type guys, and I don't know, great Groda Moss on the end. I don't know. I mean, you'd have 4 linebackers out there, but who would that be at this point? You know, would that be Devondre Campbell, Fred Warner, Flanagan Fowles, and D. Winters? I mean, you know what? That's where I thought like you were going to see that. If you could adjust into those packages and you put Leonard Floyd at one of those in that 3-4s, that's outside rushing linebacker, then I'm like, yeah, that's where he's probably best because Floyd's not built like a defensive end. He's tall. He's lanky, and he's got some speed. And he's got, 6.5 sacks? He had 2 yesterday. So he's doing what he was paid for. But we can't base everything off that. He's got no fucking help whatsoever, man. No help. Shit. You know, you think about the offseason this year, right? What are we going to need? We're going to need a backup quarterback. We're going to need another speed receiver. We're going to need another tight end, a backup to George Kittle, who's legit. We're going to need another right tackle and a left tackle and a center for that matter. And then on defense, we're going to need 2 defensive stud tackles. Could always use another defensive end. Another linebacker never hurt you. And probably another corner or, safety, what have you. Maybe corner. Has anyone heard from Robert Beal? Am I the only one who's like, instead of where's Waldo, where's Robert Beal? I thought Robert Beal, I said this in my last podcast, was supposed to be this guy who was kind of going to step into his own and be a game changer, but I haven't even seen it. We know Drake Jackson's not there. He's out. So that's been a bust. That's been a wash. Drake Jackson started the last 2 years with 3 sacks, right? He starts off strong, and then you don't hear from him anymore. Yeah, see, Coda, I forgot about him too. I remember when we drafted him, I was like, all right, I like this. This dude's kind of unpolished. He's kind of rough. Maybe he'll step into his own. Haven't heard his fucking name. Don't even know if he gets out there. I mean, I did again yesterday. You know what? I stopped paying attention. Second half, after the kickoff return, after Green Bay went right down, I stopped by, fuck this. I'm not wasting my time. And I've done this before. Look, I've been a fan forever, I used to tape all the games on VHS. I have them. I have a whole shitload of them. I've seen terrible 49er teams before. I've seen Dennis Erickson coach teams before. Steve Stenstrom at quarterback. You name it. I've seen bad teams before, and I've sat through the games, but I couldn't sit through that yesterday. I just couldn't do it. This is ridiculous. It was like an insult to my intelligence as a football fan, as a 49er fan. No adjustments fucking made. Josh Jacobs just having his way all day long. I mean, it looked like there was nothing in place to stop that, and they just kept on doing it. As Tom Brady said, they're doing exactly what you expect them. They're pounding the ball. I would do the same shit. Is this what Raider fans feel like? Ha! No, I think they feel much worse, dude. That franchise is fucked. Fucked. That fucking idiot Davis, man, Al Davis must be rolling over in his grave because his son is a horse's penis, man. That fucking team is screwed. And I was rooting for Gardner Minshew, too. Guy's out for the year. I liked O'Connell. Guy's hurt. They got no running game, right? Mattinson, Zamir White is just pulled the Claude Rains and fucking became invisible. The only guy they have is Brock Bowers, right? Who's having a monster season as a tight end for a rookie. And the one wide receiver who came over from New England a few years ago, he's playing really good. And they got, Spillane and Max Crosby and shit, but franchise is fucked. Tom Brady owns a part of that. He better do something there. They're going to need a rehaul. Another good thing yesterday was watching the Rams lose. Now they're 5-6 too. Here's another thing. Talk about the fucking schizophrenic of the NFC West. Cardinals completely shit the bed yesterday against Seattle. How the fuck did Seattle hold them to 6 points? I don't get it. Seattle with the defense that gives up chunks of yards left and right that couldn't stop couldn't stop Pee Wee Herman as a running back. They stopped John Connor and fucking Troy Benson. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. What? This is the craziest division I've ever seen. And look at Geno Smith's numbers for the year. He's got 12 picks, 12 touchdowns. Jigba Smith was killing them yesterday. I can't figure this division out, man. I can't. That's why it's such a tease, because we're still in it statistically. Right? Yeah, Trey McBride. That guy's legit. Trey McBride's legit, man. That's a tight end right there. And Harrison's not that bad. What's he got? About 36 catches, I think, 536 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not too bad. Wilson's not a bad receiver. Kyler Murray's great. They're like another season away from really being good. I mean, John Conn didn't have a good game yesterday, but he's been a monster for the most part. They need a couple other things on defense, although, you got to give it to Coach Gannon. He's done great with what he has. No one expected them to be there. The Rams, on the other hand, I can't figure that fucking team out for the life of me. Great coach. And their defense has played relatively not too bad this year. Kobe Turner, I'm scratching on the other guy's name, especially after Aaron Donald retiring. Obviously, it's Puka Nacua, and Kerryon Williams playing great. Got about 800 yards this year, But I don't know. I can't figure that team out either. I can't figure out the NFC West, and we're still in it statistically. It's an absolute head scratcher. You got to figure we lose to Buffalo, right? You're 5-7. Let's just say you knock off Arizona, you knock off the Rams, right? What is that? You're 7-7. You lose to the Lions. You're 7-8. Let's just say you finish 9-8. Who knows? The Bears. There you go. We got to play. Yeah, Lions and the Bills right now, you ain't beating. You ain't beating them, that's for sure. The Bears are a fucking abomination. It's another team I think is fucking cursed. I mean, look at the stats if you want to. Caleb Williams not having a bad rookie season. The last couple of weeks, they haven't been able to run the ball that well. They've got this dance they do with wide receivers. I just can't understand. DJ Moore is not the same DJ Moore he was in Carolina, right? O'Dunn's is going to be good. Cole Kmet is a good possession wide tight end. And then you got Keenan Allen, who had his best game of the year yesterday, but I can't figure them out. Well, no wonder Waldrop got fired. The next one to go was Eberflus. He's gone. He's not going to be there next year. I can't figure that fucking team out, but I don't know if we could beat them. And their defense blows. Their offensive line is even worse. But what good is it when you can't get after the quarterback? How many fumbles did we have yesterday? Did anyone count? Holy shit. I felt like every time I turned my head, fumble, 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 fumble. Green Bay recovers, Green Bay recovers, Green Bay recovers. I'll tell you, that guy Nixon said something. He had that quote, I'm paraphrasing, but I don't want to hear it. We came to play. I don't want to hear it. He's right. He's 100% right. No excuses. None. You got your ass beat. Face it, accept it, and make changes. I didn't hear the press conference with Sorensen. Did anyone hear a press conference? If there was one, how faithful are we in playoff playing as we are now? Look, K. Grissar, if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. Let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just say you got that 18% chance of getting in the playoffs. You get in and you're healthy. Could you possibly do something? Yeah, you could. But honestly, the time to do that has already passed. We were on a 2-game winning streak, right? We win last week. We knock off Seattle. It's a 3-game winning streak. Obviously, you're going into yesterday's game with a lot more courage. You feel better about yourself. But it wouldn't have mattered because you're missing 3 of your starters. Were you really going to win yesterday? Okay, fine. You lose that one. You lose yesterday, right? So now you figure, what do you say, where it was 6-4, now we're 6-5. All right, 6-5 is good because now we're in a 3-way tie with the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. Had we would have won last week and lost this past week, you're in a 3-way tie, 6-5, 6-5, 6-5, and the Rams are 5-6. Now you're feeling good. Now you're feeling okay. All's even. Now I got to play the Rams again. I got to play the Cardinals again. Okay, worst comes to worst, you're 8-5. You're 8-5, and then you figure, okay, I lost to the Lions. Maybe I beat the Bills. Maybe I'm being generous. 9-6. You beat the Bears. You're 10-6. Maybe you finish the season 10-7. At that point, and it's enough to win the NFC West. I think the time has passed. I really do. 6 games to go. Plus, we don't even know what Purdy's status is. Allen had 2, CMC had 1, and Mason had 1. I think. Yeah, it was Fumble City yesterday, man. Allen obviously had 2. He's got that broken fucking finger. After the first possession, I was waiting for Shanny to put in Dobbs. I'm like, put in Dobbs. But to be fair, Allen got it together and led a nice drive down the field. Again, I can't put the blame on him 100%. It was an absolute abomination. That's all. I want to look at the fucking stats from yesterday. I'm not even going to go through the stats from last week either. It's bullshit. Last week was disgusting. You let Geno Smith fucking gallop for 21 yards on that last drive, which we were invisible for. All right, you got no Bosa, fine. The defense is tired, but give me a fucking break, huh? Give me a break. Geno Smith has never really been a scrambler. There was no one near him. Oh, thank you, Coda Bear, for reminding me. Let me just say this. Look at my eyes. If we get Daniel fucking Jones, I quit. I fucking quit. No. I'll take Allen over Daniel Jones any day of the week. I am sorry. Daniel Jones is not that good. Nice guy, wonderful. Class, 100%. I don't know a lot of guys that could have done it here in New York. Never said a bad thing. Sure, he's a nice guy. Great, wonderful, 100%. I hope he puts up a really nice Christmas tree and decorates it like a sumbitch, but I do not want him. I don't think Duke makes really good quarterbacks to begin with, and I think he by far has been one of the most overrated first-round picks of all time, but I can't put the blame on him because the Giants are have become one of the worst organizations in sports. $40 million you paid that fucking guy. That's all I'm going to say. No, I don't want him. Oh, dude, if we get Daniel Jones, I'm out. I fucking quit. I'm out. No. I don't think this team is going to tank. That was my other thing about Colin Coward, the other gentleman, saying what they should do is tank. This team is never going to tank. I don't see that happening. I don't. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose. We're not going to tank though. Position for a higher draft, yeah. I mean, look, it's great, but again, the draft is always a gamble. You never know what you're really getting, especially with all the hype. You never really know. And what do we really need anyway? Well, where are we drafting, right? What do we need? Well, if it was up to me, I'd say if you're going to draft high in number one, you're either going to get yourself a right tackle or you're going to get yourself a defensive tackle. Those would be the needs, obviously. I would think. Maybe we could get him as a safety. Heard he was playing safety. Yeah, he was playing safety on this scout team. Oh, we do need O-line. Get that right tackle. 100%. Solidify it. Because according to reports, Trent Williams wants to keep playing. I know he was talking to LeBron about, how to keep his body preserved. And he probably could do it. He's got the skill set to do it. There were just certain guys. Jackie Slater did it. Played forever. But I don't know. Abomination yesterday. I'm not even going to go look at stats. Not doing it. Abomination disgusting last week against the loss in Seattle. I'm not going to do it. This 49er team has become unhinged. It's unraveling. And the time to capitalize passed. After beating Tampa Bay, we're on that 2-game winning streak. We're feeling nice and we're feeling like popcorn with butter. Nice. You're feeling nice. Feeling it's gone. The loss to Seattle was devastating. You win that one, you're 3 in a row. You could lose yesterday. Not the way we lost, but you could lose that one. Abomination. I don't even want to think about the Buffalo game this week. I don't want to think about it. I want to make believe it doesn't even exist, tell you the truth. Anyway, I could sit here and just bitch and moan about yesterday's game. I'm not going to do it. Because all you who are diehard, you saw it. You saw what happened. Coach Sorensen, I don't know. Is it him or is the personnel? I don't know about you guys. I didn't feel too comfortable about the personnel in the last couple of weeks. If we had trouble stopping the run against Green Bay and Detroit last year with the defensive front we had, what do you think was going to happen with these guys now? Again, the best defense we had, the best defensive line, was 2019 with Kansas City. It's too bad we didn't try and attempt to make a trade for DeForest Buckner come trade deadline. But whatever. I'm tired of hearing myself talk, man. I really am. Fucking just sucks, man. 38-10. Heartless. I like to be on the fly on the wall when John Lynch was watching. See what was going on there in his mind. And now to Buffalo. In that beautiful Buffalo weather. That let's go swimming, palm trees, and sip cocktails with Cousin Eddie from Vacation type weather. Fuck. Schedule couldn't get any worse than it's going to get. I don't know, guys. Lots of questions to be answered. We'll have to wait. The week. See what happens. Niners drop back-to-back games. A disgusting loss to Seattle. That they did what they did again in the fourth quarter. They quit. You let Geno Smith scramble for 21 yards at the end and loss. And yesterday's Claude Rains-like performance, 38-10 loss. Back-to-back. Is what it is, as Bill Parcells says, you are what your record says you are, and we are. And that's that. And ain't nothing changing that. And hopefully we get Brock Purdy back this week. Hopefully Trent Williams is okay. Hopefully, Nick Bosa is good. And of course, I just hope, Shavarius Ward. I mean, that's the hardest. That's the most. That's got to be the hardest battle. Losing a young child. Beautiful little girl. I wouldn't expect if he wouldn't play the rest of the season. I couldn't blame him. And maybe we get Dre Greenlaw to start, entering the practice window. I don't know. It is what it is, guys. I'll be coming back at you again this week with some more news once we learn some more stuff. I really appreciate you guys being part of this. Please always feel free to hit me up. My live feed died tonight. My phone died, unfortunately, so my live feed died. But always feel free to inbox me. All stuff 49ers, man. And let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see what happens this week. All right. Peace.